Welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Turf. We appreciate y'all watching the video about the top coaching hires. Make sure and hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate y'all watching and the input that you put into this. With that, we're just going to get right into it, talking about the Arkansas roster and the schedule this year. So let's start with the defense. Let's start about what do you think about the defense this year, looking at Arkansas and how they're going to shape up against other SEC matchups and other teams as well?
Their defense, I think their defense, Barry Odom's always got that defense on lockdown. They lost a few in the back seven in the defensive back room, but I think they made up for it in the transfer portal. And getting Catalon back there at safety, I think that's huge. I think he is one of the best safeties in the nation, much less the SEC. So I think that's massive. Their linebacking core. They lost Hayden Henry, but they replaced him with Drew Sanders from Alabama, who was a starter at Alabama, got hurt, got his job took, and then he transferred over to Arkansas. He has really turned heads from what I could see during this fall camp and spring, and they're really excited about him. That whole linebacking core together. I think that defense, Barry Odom's going to have that defense ready to go come game one against Cincinnati. But I'm going to be really impressed. I feel like they grow every year under Barry Odom. From what I can see, they're just getting better and better. Barry's a great defensive-minded guy, former coach in the SEC, so he knows what he's doing. He's got things in his mind that most people wouldn't know to do under certain offensive packages and stuff. And I really like what Barry brings to the table. The roster is a big thing to me, but I think Barry is the main drive behind that defense. I think Barry can put a good product out there who's on the field. So it only helps that you get guys like Jalen and Drew Sanders out there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Barry Odom he's the guy. He's the guy that you probably want leading your defense. And I mean, again, like you said, with Catalon coming back, wasn't healthy last year, but he's a key component to the defense. Hard hitter. He lets defenders know that he's there. Don't come across the middle and you're going to get smacked. I feel like Bumper Pool coming back too, man. Just the quarterback of the defense, big leader. I feel like obviously losing Hayden Henry, just a real hustler to the ball. I mean, just making tackle after tackle, just being there. I feel like one huge key thing for Arkansas to do this year, like Hayden Henry did all last year, is hustle to the ball. Obviously, we're not going to be the fastest out there, but if we hustle to the ball and make plays, make tackles in certain positions, then I feel like the defense can do. Like you said, I feel like they can impress. And I think Barry Odom has us headed in the right direction. I feel like we're going to have recruits coming in, just get bigger and faster with Drew Sanders coming in. I mean, Alabama's obviously not lacking without him, but we sure as heck would love to have him over here. Okay. And he's just going to be another huge addition. I feel like he's going to play just like Hayden Henry as far as hustling to the ball, but I mean, he's going to be even a little bit better, and he's turning heads in training camp, like you said. And I mean, just as far as like our connection with the defense, and we have those return players coming back, I mean, I feel like it's just going to be a really good year for us on defense as well. And I'm excited to see what's coming for us and signing those huge transfers from LSU too, and our D-backs. I feel like if he just sets us up the right way, I think we'll win a lot of ball games and let up quite a few points. And so coming off of the defense, heading over to the offensive side of the ball, what are your thoughts on the offensive side?
I think obviously you're going to need KJ Jefferson to improve. You're going to need him to improve his consistency with his accuracy and his decision making and his ability to protect himself and protect the football. I don't really think he was very bad at protecting the football last year, but you can always improve. But protecting himself, I think, is a big one. You can't win ball games if you're not in the football game, is what I always like to say. So KJ can be a huge difference maker for Arkansas this year, but he won't be if he can't keep himself healthy. So I think first and foremost, that's the biggest thing on the offense. I think KJ has great potential, especially under Kendall Briles. I think Kendall's a great offensive-minded coach, just like Barry is for defense. But I think it depends a little bit more on the talent side for Kendall. I think he needs the right players in the right positions, and I think he's got that with KJ. I think Sam Pittman, he knows all about that O line. So I think
Yes,
the O
sir.
line's going to be just fine. I mean, you go back through his coaching days; they're always great. His last stop at Georgia, imposing offensive line. I think that's what Arkansas is going to be this year. I think they have an opportunity to really run it down people's throats with that running back room and that offensive line. That running back room, you got Dominique Johnson, you got AJ Green, and you got Rocket Sanders. I think Rocket is going to be a huge component in this game. Dominique's out for I think the first game. I think he's hurt, so I think
Yeah, he
Rocket and
is.
AJ they're going to have to step up. But I think, man, do I believe in them? I think a two-headed monster with them too. I think Rocket's probably going to be more of the featured back, but I wouldn't shy away when AJ comes in the game because AJ is very, very talented and skilled as well. They got some freshmen coming in too that uh, Coop was telling us about a little while ago that they're turning heads as well. So I think that running back room is going to be great. I think that offensive line's room is going to be great. Quarterback room is going to be great. And then we get to wide receivers and tight ends. I'm a huge believer in Trey Knox. Uh, as I previously stated, I think Trey has a ton of talent receiving the ball. He came in as a wide receiver. He played wide receiver for the first little while and then moved to tight end. I think if he's utilized more, he can show more. So I really like Trey there at tight end. I think Henry, the other Henry boy, I think he needs Hayden Henry. I think it is. He needs to step it up. I think he has a lot of potential, just like his brothers had. I think he can be a great tight end, but I feel like this year is a make it or break it year for him for sure. Um, and then we move to wide receiver. You get Keytron Jackson coming back. You bring in a guy like Jaden Hazelwood, who last year he was coming off an injury at Oklahoma. He's a big 50-50 ball catcher. He has great hands. What I would like to see from him this year is running after the catch. I think coming off 2 years off an ACL injury, I think he's going to be healthier than ever, and he's gonna be able to have those wheels back and the explosiveness after the catch. But we know for sure in the red zone, if you throw the ball up to Jaden Hazelwood, there's a good chance he comes down with the ball. Uh, 50-50 or more, 60-40 for him. I think he is a great wide receiver in the red zone, and I would really like to see him do it all throughout the field this year. I think Keytron's got a lot of potential as well on the other side of the offense. I think his speed and his route ability. I think it's going to be a real difference maker, especially when it comes SEC time. So that's how I think the offense is going to be really good this year. Kendall's going to get them right. Kendall's got the right players in the right positions. So they just need to stay healthy. And like I said, KJ just needs to improve on his consistency in those two areas. And I think Arkansas's offense could be one of the best in the nation.
So going off of that, I think most people looking at Arkansas's offense this year is pretty much going to say, okay, what are they going to do without Traylon Burks, right? I feel like it could sound a little biased, but I feel like Traylon Burks he easily was considered where he was drafted a top five wide receiver in the nation last year. I mean, just run after the catch, just in the red zone, just deep ball threat. I mean, through and through, he was the top wide receiver in the nation. And I feel like with KJ last year, he kind of was a little bit not necessarily inexperienced, but he lacked a little bit on the sitting in the pocket presence and just throwing the ball straight from the pocket. He's a playmaker, but I feel like if he improves on that, like you were saying, just more pocket presence and just kind of more experience, just playing in the pocket, he can use his legs as well. But he's got to stay healthy this year because coming in behind him, we got Malik, and I mean they have faith in Malik, but they don't have faith in Malik to throw the football. Okay. And I mean, I feel like with Malik, you've got just an absolute talent back there. I feel like we're gonna have to do something with him regardless. We're gonna have to figure out a way to put him in the game because he's just too good of an athlete not to put in the game. And Trey Knox, I mean, coming in as a wide receiver, obviously he got bigger, but I can't think of many linebackers in the country that could guard that man at tight end, and they're gonna have to do it. And we've got Hazelwood, like you said, coming from your team, coming from Oklahoma. I feel like if he can stay healthy as well, he's just going to be an absolute animal. And we've got Thompson coming back as well, and I feel like we'll kind of work with that as the season goes through. Obviously, we've got a tough game coming up, but I feel like just if KJ can just kind of lead the team as a whole, just gain that trust and just keep on working with that experience in the pocket, I feel like the wide receiver core and everything else will come around him. Like you said, Sam Pittman's got the offensive line going in the right direction. I mean, that's his bread and butter right there is the offensive line. Okay. I mean, he loves his offensive line and I love him too. I mean, we've had huge offensive lines in the past with Brett Bielema, but I feel like if we just continue to build our offensive line and just kind of feed off of our running game, I think like last year, I think our running game obviously one of the top in the country, and we're gonna have Dominique's obviously hurt for the first game. We don't need to really rush him back. We've got Rocket Sanders and AJ Green. Okay, AJ Green's that fast kid that you can give the ball to in open space, and he's going to make a play happen. Rocket's just kind of best of both worlds. I mean, he's got the speed, he's got the power, and Dominic has just got freaking guy. He got legs like Thor, man. I mean, he can run through just about anything, and I feel like I'm really excited to see what the offense does this year. Again, Traylon being gone, I feel like it is a downside, but obviously you got to move on at some point, and every team's got a big player that's leaving. So I mean, we're really gonna kind of test our skill and see what we're made of this year without that safety blanket. And I feel like if we can just make better, if KJ can make better decisions and he can just keep on making plays like he does, I feel like we'll be. I mean, I feel like we'll be top tier on the offensive side of the ball. And again, it starts with the running game. Sam Pittman loves his running game. We're going to run the football no matter what. If we can't run the football, there's not much else we can do. And I'm excited to see what will happen in a game where we can't run the football as well, and we're going to have to start making plays with KJ and our wideouts and our tight ends. And I think they're going to shape up to be pretty good this year, and I don't have any doubts in them. And I feel like if we just keep on working in the right direction and keep on just getting that connection better and better, as everybody and us included have been working together in the off season, I feel like we can have a really, really up year this year. And I feel like it's just going to just prove for years to come that we can be great on both sides of the football. And I love our offense this year. I love KJ, and I think it's going to be a good year, especially with the starts with those running backs, baby. Gotta love them.
One one thing I was really impressed with last year, coming into the year and throughout the year, most bigger backs that are mostly just they just run through the A gap. They're not really used as third down backs, as in catching the football. But I think Dominique has is one of the best bigger running backs in the nation that can actually catch the football. I was really impressed with that ability. I didn't know he had that, so that just adds another dimension. I mean, you don't know what they're going to do with what running back because they're going to do everything with all of them. I think you're going to get a three-headed monster once Dominique can get back, and if the other guys can stay healthy, I think it's going to be probably the biggest factor on offense for them this year. But something you mentioned, Malik, that with him being playing backup quarterback, but also getting in there at wide receiver, I think Sam Pittman knows that guy needs the football in his hands. He is one of the
Yeah.
most electrifying uh, players in college football when he has the ball in his hands. He is so fast and elusive, and if he's in the open field, good luck trying to catch him. So I think that's going to be a big thing too for them. I think Malik's going to make a lot of plays for them this year, and I'm super excited for him. I know he wanted it to go to be at quarterback, but he's getting his shot other places and getting the ball in his hand. I think he's really going to enjoy that. So I think I think that's going to be a great component to Arkansas's offense this year as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him. I know I was excited last year when he got into the game. I was like, man, I mean, obviously you knew what they were going to do, but against A&M, when KJ went down, I mean, he just got the balls in his hands and he just took off. I mean, like you said, good luck catching the guy because I mean, it's hard to do. He's probably I think I saw something like I think he's the fastest guy on our roster, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, this dude is just a freak. He's a freak of nature. He needs to get a little bit of muscle on him, but we'll talk about that later. But I mean, he's a he's just the guy that you want the ball in his hands regardless. I mean, if they can teach that man how to catch, which he probably can, he's been around a football for years and years now. I mean, if you can get him in the game any way that you can when you need him, I mean, I think it's just going to add another great addition to the offense. So going off of that, we'll go ahead and get into a schedule breakdown and just talk about like what we see for all these matchups, maybe the outcomes of every matchup. We've got a pretty decent schedule this year. Obviously, ranked number one in toughest schedule this year. As of last year, we ended up not drawing Georgia. Thank the Lord this year because that was brutal last year. But let's go ahead and start off. We got a tough game starting out. We've got Cincinnati top 25 matchup. SEC. Who is it? Who's coming to the game? I think it was SEC Nation. Maybe is coming to the game. If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be big. Yeah, it's going to be big
it's
broadcast. Top 25. And I mean,
uh
you go ahead. Talk about what you think about a Cincinnati matchup.
I honestly think that it I don't know. I don't know what to think about Cincinnati losing Desmond Ritter and a bunch of the other guys, their top two corners on the other side of the ball, their top wide receiver. I really don't know what to think about what they'll be this year. They're unproven in a lot of key positions. I am a big fan of Luke Fickle and what he can do, but I just don't know. I don't think they will be as good as they were the past few years. I don't. I think Desmond Ritter was a great quarterback and a great leader for that team. I think they had two lockdown corners in Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant, and I cannot see them being as good as they were the last few years. I'm not saying they won't be good, but they will not be great. They will not be making a push for the college football playoff. They will be losing a few games this year, I believe, and I think week one will be their first loss. I think this game's a little bit overhyped. I would like to see Cincinnati uh, come in and be able to play how they've played the last few years. I think that would make a great matchup. But I just think Arkansas, it's the first game, so it may start out slow. But I think the end score is not going to be too pretty in favor of Arkansas. I think they're gonna throw it on Cincinnati pretty heavily.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Cincinnati again, they lost, I believe, 9 starters in the draft, starting with Sauce Gardner, and their quarterback was just absolutely phenomenal last year, taking them to a college football playoff. I mean, it is. I do agree that it is overhyped a little bit, but I think it's obviously going to be one of the most hyped games in the country week one because it's a top 25 matchup. And again, Arkansas coming in at number 19 and Cincinnati in either at number 3 or 4 last year. I can't remember, but coming in at 23 this year, as you can see, they took a dip, not based on performance last year, based on the players that they lost. Okay, so I mean, it's going to be a Cincinnati, and they're coming to Arkansas as well, and it's a madhouse in Fayetteville. Okay, and I feel like they come in thinking they can do what they did last year. I think it's just going to be very brutal for them. I mean, obviously we've got to keep our head in the game and keep our head up and watch out for them because it's not just a team you can roll over and quit on. But I think if Arkansas does what they do and just puts it on them week one, it'll set a statement for the rest of the season. Obviously.
Agreed. So I think we both agree that's a dub for Arkansas. So moving into week two, we got South Carolina coming to Fayetteville as well. What are your thoughts?
So South Carolina, I think obviously previous years, I mean, they haven't really been much talk of the SEC. I mean, they've had some down years. I haven't really been paying much attention to them the past couple of years. I mean, but they do now. They have a quarterback who's been to a top school. Now they have Spencer Rattler. Okay, and to be quite honest, I'm excited to see what he's going to do at South Carolina because I had high hopes for him. I like the guy going into Oklahoma, and it just didn't work out for him. Didn't pan out the way he wanted it to. And then Caleb Williams, obviously having a guy like that coming in behind you. I mean, once he dropped his spot, Caleb Williams was not going to give it back, no matter how close buddies they were in the locker room. What I mean, he just wasn't going to give it back to him. Okay, and I mean, I feel like he's kind of more of a selfish type of player. I feel like if he kind of turns that around at South Carolina because he doesn't have the talent that he did at Oklahoma, I feel like if he turns that around and just kind of be a leader, I feel like he can have a good season. So I'm excited to see that. But I feel like them, I feel like them coming to Arkansas as well. I feel like it's going to be obviously, I think it's going to be a dub for Arkansas, but I think that's obviously that's not another team that you can necessarily roll over on with Spencer coming in. If he can just have a good year like he's supposed to have been having the past couple years, I think it'll be honestly a pretty decent matchup. So I'm excited to see that game as well. I feel like that's going to be I feel like if we put the hurting on Cincinnati like I think we are, I feel like South Carolina could end up being a closer game if Spencer Rattler can do his thing. But I feel like Arkansas is going to come out with the win. If we can just shut them down on offense and shut down Spencer Rattler, I don't think they've got a chance.
Uh, a fun fact about Spencer Rattler, he has only lost 2 games as a starting quarterback in 2 years at Oklahoma. He did not lose a game last year, and he lost 2 games. His freshman year, it was the first couple games, first 3 or 4 games, and then after that, he has not lost a game. But he would for sure have lost that Texas game this year, where Caleb Williams came in and didn't give it back. But I look to see that number 2 uh, go up this year in losses, but how much? I believe Spencer has all the tools that you need, and I think it starts and ends with Spencer Rattler at South Carolina. We saw what they did last year without really having a quarterback. They had some walk on and a graduate assistant who had to pad up and be their starting quarterback for most of the year, and they still came out with a good record for South Carolina based off of their previous years. So I'm super excited to see what Spencer can do down there with Shane Beamer. But I'd have to agree. I think Arkansas comes out with a dub on this one. I think Arkansas is a more polished team all around. I don't think they're trying to figure their identity or figure themselves out. I think Arkansas already knows what they want to be and who's going to play what role and how it's going to go out. So I think Arkansas gets the dub on this one. I think this game's going to be closer than the Cincinnati Arkansas
Yeah,
game,
I
but
do as
I
well.
think Arkansas still wins this one by at least 2 scores. So,
Yeah.
but with that, we get the return of Bobby Petrino to Fayetteville. Andrew, how are you feeling about this matchup?
Man, so obviously I've got a Bobby's done some things in the wrong years that he's with us, but I mean, if as an Arkansas fan, you got to have love for the man. I mean, he's took us. I mean, the top. I believe we were number 4 when he was there. We went to the Sugar Bowl in 2011. I mean, you just got to have love for this guy and what he did for our program in a whole. But I like the fact that he's coming and playing us, man. And I mean, he went to Louisville, had a couple of great years. I believe he was there when Lamar Jackson was there, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, he's just obviously Missouri State doesn't have the talent that other schools that he coached has. But I mean, so obviously, we're obviously for me, we're going to take a dub on this game as well. I mean, them coming into town as well, it's not going to be as pretty for them. And I feel like the return for him, it'll be I don't know, it'll either be a love or hate thing for most Arkansas fans. But I feel like we're definitely going to get the dub for this one. This one's a primetime game. Not sure why we're playing them at 6 and South Carolina at 11, but that's how Arkansas plays football, I guess. But
Yeah.
man, I feel like we're gonna get a dub. Bobby, gonna love to see him back in the old Arkansas stadium. But I mean, I feel like we're definitely gonna get a dub here again. Like you said, we're just a more polished team, and I don't think they can really, in all due respect, I don't think they can really hold a candle to us. And I mean, you'll see after the first 2 games, if we do what I think we're gonna do, you as well, then I don't think. I think we'll get past them no problem. Again, don't roll over on any team, but I feel like we're going to get past them no problem.
Starters out by the end of the first quarter is what I believe is going to happen for Arkansas. I
Yeah.
think Arkansas State's or Missouri State's not going to come. I mean, they're going to come to play and they're going to do their best, but you're playing a top SEC school, and it's just not going to work out well for them. I think Bobby's going to know that, but he's going to still try and bring the heat. I mean, he's returning, so I think he's going to try and bring his best, but I just don't think it'll be anywhere near enough. Uh, so I think this game, Arkansas walks out pretty easily with the dub. I think Bobby returning, it's either going to be all love or all hate. I don't think there's really going to be a mutual feeling. But with that, we're going to move on to a more competitive game. One last year that Arkansas actually shocked the world by beating the Texas A&M Aggies. My opinion on this: who first I have to ask who's going to be the Texas A&M quarterback, Haynes King or Max Johnson? We saw what Max Johnson did last year at LSU transferring in, so now them two are competing for the starting job. I think I would like to see Haynes take this job, but I'm not sure that he's going to be able to. I think it's a pretty close competition right now from everything that I can tell. Haynes is the more mobile quarterback. I think he puts a massive threat on the defense running the football. He can sling it a little bit too. So I would like to see Haynes take this job, but I think it's his job to lose since he was starting last year and then got injured for the season over there at Texas A&M. So I think it's his job to lose with Max coming in from LSU. But I think Max is a pretty good quarterback. But I think Texas A&M's overrated. I'm gonna be honest. I think Texas A&M, they got a great class last year. Yes, they did, but how is that going to translate on the field? Are they going to be able to do it? I just don't think they can. I think Arkansas is going to win this game. I think it's going to be a competitive game. But I think Arkansas is going to take the dub in this one. And they're gonna move on to 4-0 after this game because I think Texas A&M, I don't think they'll be ready for how good Arkansas is going to be. I think Arkansas is going to be a surprise team. They're going to get through the first 3 weeks, and everybody's going to be like, "Well, South Carolina wasn't as good as we thought they were," and "Well, Cincinnati's not as good as we thought they were." But this game is, I think, Arkansas's coming out game, and they're going to smack it on Texas A&M. I think they'll win 10 plus points, hopefully. But we'll see how it goes. Texas A&M's got to come out and be ready to play, but so does Arkansas. So this is a big game on Arkansas' schedule. I think one of their toughest opponents as it is every year. But I think Arkansas ultimately comes out with a dub.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't necessarily call it the make or break game, obviously, but this is definitely, like you said, the coming out game for Arkansas. I mean, we have two we have two really good we have two really good teams matching up in Arlington. So I mean, last year obviously we put the hurting on them, and I think by this time we'll see a little bit more of A&M. It's kind of like they say they are, and but I mean, I think again, I think Arkansas is going to come out with a dub this year in Arlington as well as they did last year. I mean, I don't think they're going to be ready for it either, and I think it's going to be they're going to kind of come into it. Okay, we've got the top recruiting class, whatever, whatever. But I mean, I think Arkansas is going to come out with a dub, like you said, 10 plus points. I think that's fair to say. Now,
I think what Arkansas needs to watch out for though is Texas A&M is going to be if they beat us, so they could play that narrative. Oh, they beat us, we're coming ready to play this year. But I still don't think they're going to understand what Arkansas is going to have offensively. I don't because they're going to have, I think, 2 games in 1 quarter of tape of this new offense without Traylon Burks. So I don't really think they're going to fully understand what's going on offensively for Arkansas. But Arkansas doesn't need to be caught looking at Alabama because that's who they have the next week. And so that leads us into the Alabama discussion. Andrew, what are your thoughts about the Roll Tide rolling into Fayetteville?
so if Arkansas comes out, smacks the floor, goes 4-0, I think this is going to be one of the top premier matchups uh, in the country, like of the year. I think Arkansas is shaping up this year. If we continue to stay healthy through this week, I think I think this could be the year that we beat them. But if I'm taking all bias off the table. I think last year obviously was a close game, but if we go into this game and we're 4-0, and I think they're going to be 4-0 as well. I do think Alabama is going to win this game, but I think they're only going to win it by either a point to 3 points. I think it's going to be a very close matchup, and I don't think they're just going to come in there and walk all over us like they have previous years. But I think, yeah, I mean, there is a chance we could pull it out, but I mean, I have to say, I think Alabama is going to win this game by 3 points, 3 points max. I think it's going to be a really close one.
I think Alabama's going to come in there and it's going to be a great game too. I would love to say I see the Hogs pulling off. I think they have a shot, but I just can't see it. Bryce Young coming on his revenge tour, all year long. Not so I don't know. I can't really say I see it, but I would love for it to happen. But I gotta lean towards Alabama on this one. So with us both agreeing, Arkansas just got their first loss of the season. They're moving into Mississippi State. I believe Arkansas goes to Mississippi State this
Yeah, they do.
year.
They do. They do.
Well, what are your thoughts on this game? I've heard whispers of Mississippi State being pretty good this year. I know you and Cooper put them in your top 5. Uh, but what are your thoughts on this game?
I think obviously we beat them last year, but I mean, I feel like I feel like heading into this game, I feel like we're still going to have our heads right, even if we get our first loss of the year. But I think even Mississippi State being a little bit better this year, I feel like we're still going to come out with a dub on this one. I don't feel like we're going to fall to them at all. That may be ranked by that time. Who knows? But I don't feel like we're going to fall to them. I feel like going in there and just kind of setting a statement that we're not here to mess around. Even though you got a little better, I feel like we're still gonna march in there and still get the dub.
I agree completely with everything you just said. I think Mississippi State, they'll be all right this year. They'll get better and better, but I just don't think they'll be able to hold Arkansas. Then we move into an out of conference game. Arkansas goes to BYU. This one I think is a little tricky game. I think this could be a trap game depending on the time too, because BYU, if you play at BYU at night, it's later in the night where you're normally from. So if they play at 7 p.m. at BYU, it's going to be 9 or 10 in Arkansas. So I think this could be a trap game. I think BYU is going to be a competitive game, but I think Arkansas ultimately comes out with a close one over there at Brigham Young.
I agree. Obviously, they have returning quarterback Jaron Hall. I think he's a really good quarterback for them. But I feel like it is going to be a night game, kind of a trap game for us. And they do have the home field advantage big time. But again, I feel like we're gonna go over there, see some different competition, and we're still gonna have our heads high. Hopefully, coming off the win of Mississippi State, and I think we're gonna go in there, march in there, and just kind of prove to them that we play SEC football and that we're gonna come out with a win.
And then the next week, Arkansas travels to Auburn. I think Auburn. I think Zach Calzada is gonna come out as a starting quarterback over TJ Finley there at Auburn. I think Zach's got a better chance to lead a better team, but I just don't think Brian Harson's gonna be able to pull this one over the Hogs. Like I said, I expect big things from Arkansas this year. And I just don't see a second year team under Brian Harson, who they tried to fire this offseason, getting a dub over Arkansas this year. So I think that's another win for Arkansas.
I agree. I think our kryptonite was Bo Nix. I mean, he just kept on beating us. But I feel like again, second year coach, we have more experience on both sides of the football, so I feel like we're going to march in there and take the dub as well. So heading on into the Liberty game, obviously one of our lower end games. I'm gonna go ahead and start out and say I think it's just going to be a complete, maybe a complete run through. I mean, hopefully then we'll have a lot of wins and one loss on the record, and I feel like we're just going to. They're coming to us, and that's just a complete disadvantage to them as well. So I mean, I feel like it's just going to be a starters out quick, and it's going to be a quick game.
I agree completely. I have all the love in the world for Hugh Freeze. I think he's a great football coach, but I don't think he's going to be able to lead his team past Arkansas on this one. I don't think he has the talent to do it. So I agree that's another dub for Arkansas. Heading in to LSU coming to Fayetteville. No telling who's going to be the starting quarterback at this point between Garrett Nussmeier and Jaden Daniels, but I think they bring a great threat to Arkansas's defense. I think this one's going to be a really close game. I think this is going to be a hard-nosed football game, and I think LSU might be able to pull it out. I got to take LSU on this one. I think Arkansas is going to be riding on a high horse. Oh, only Alabama beat us, and so they got to take a knockdown somewhere. I think LSU is going to take this one home.
Ooh, hold on. So, dang.
I guess Andrew's having some technical difficulties, so
All right, can
can
you
you
hear me
hear me?
now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good deal, good deal. Yeah, I think one of my AirPods just died. So, anyways, LSU, yeah, I think we're going to be on our high horse as well. I still think they're coming to Arkansas, so I still think on this one we could definitely get the dub. They're obviously gonna have some talent and they're gonna have a new coach. I feel like this one is just a little bit more experience, and I feel like we're gonna take the dub as well. But leading off into Ole Miss is where I feel like we're gonna have our downfall and lose our second game. Again, last year we're gonna have a chip on our shoulder, but I feel like now is the time that we're definitely on our high horse, and then they're just going to come in and kind of. I feel like feel like they're just going to kind of take over and beat us again this year. It's going to be a close game as well, but I feel like they're going to get the better of us this year again.
I'm just not really confident in Jackson Dart or Luke Altmaier as Ole Miss's starting quarterback. So I'm gonna have to take Arkansas on this one. I don't. It's not going to come down to a 2-point conversion again this year. I think Arkansas wins this one pretty clearly. Moving into the last game of the season, we got Arkansas going to Missouri, I believe. I think this game's not going to be really close. I think Arkansas is just going to blow them out of the water.
I agree. I think Missouri's had some struggles their past couple of years. I mean, it's just not been pretty for them. I feel like us going to them doesn't really change anything from them coming to us. I feel like it's just going to be a more of a quick game, and I feel like we're going to kind of blow them out of the water as well. And I feel like so in and on that, what's that record? What we got? I feel like we're going to go. I guess we both got us going 10-2. So I mean, I would love to have that year. I mean, that's a complete upside year, and I don't have any problem with that. So we're kind of running out of time here. So I'm gonna go ahead and what you got anything to say?
I was just gonna say I agree. Thank you all for tuning in and listening. Please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when we post. Comment. What do you think Arkansas's record's gonna be this year? We appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank y'all as always. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.